pretty, say, not so much. You don't need to work for an airline or be at an airport. We just say, even if you're traveling, you are qualifying to be in this group. I think there are 4 main criteria to be in that group. You need to be smart, upbeat, positive, and enthusiastic. That's all what you are. And so I suggest, before we start the discussion, that we are just introducing each other. Usually it's ladies first, but I think in this group it's men first. So let me start. My name is Daniel Stecher. I'm a real-born Berliner. I'm based in Berlin, Germany. I'm working for IBS Software, Vice President Airline Operations. And I'm looking forward to a fantastic discussion where I was also asking another male guest, my colleague Marco Contento, to join. But maybe, Anne, you are now taking over and introduce yourself.
Okay, hello everybody. I'm Cedar Hall. I've been working in the airline industry for many years, 20 odd years or so, many different airlines, many different companies, and I do consulting in this space.
Again, second time, the meeting.
Sorry, who was that? I heard somebody. Did you hear that?
I heard it, but I don't know what it was. I couldn't understand it.
No, yeah, I don't know what it was. Yeah. So it's a pleasure to have you all here, and we started this group as a forum, as you know, for women, connecting with other women in this industry space. Okay, who's next?
Anuja.
Hi, good afternoon, good morning to all of you. I am Anuja. I'm a colleague of Daniel, and I'm working with IBS for the last 14 years and with the total 19 years of experience in IT industry. My current job role is I'm working with Europe's leading travel company, TUI, as a program manager in their on-site location in Hanover, Germany. So looking forward to have a positive collaborative meeting today.
Let's go to US, Catherine. Huh?
Hey, everybody. Good morning. It's good morning in the United States. Day before Thanksgiving. I have been covering the aviation industry as an aviation journalist for 40 years, and I've done everything from business aviation to airports to airlines to technology. And I just recently launched a new newsletter called Future Aviation Aerospace Workforce News, and a website along with it to cover the workforce issues that don't get covered anywhere else and that deserve coverage. So that's kind of my background.
Let's go to Germany, Nadine.
Thank you very much. My name is Nadine. I'm working for Lufthansa Consulting in Frankfurt. My background is commercial, so that's the reason why also my projects are right now very commercial focused. So I worked for British Airways for over 3 years in the revenue management and analytics department. And I'm very excited to be here. It's a topic that I'm very interested in and supporting, and to see it driving.
Olivia.
Hi, I'm Olivia. I have just qualified as a commercial pilot, so obviously with Corona I'm not employed yet, but I'm 21, I'm from the UK, and I'm quite passionate about the cause of women in aviation and that sort of stuff, so I like to be as involved as possible with all of anything I can be.
Let's go to Jurat. I think last time we saw each other was 7 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, it's been a while.
We can barely hear you.
Hear me better now?
Oh, now it's like you're here in the room.
Perfect. Yeah, I guess it's been 7 years or so. So hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been in aviation, so now more than 3 years, I'm not anymore in the field. I'm living in Dubai for more than 4 years. for the reason that my husband is a pilot, so he moved to Dubai. I followed him. And I've been working more than 10 years in Air Baltic in Latvia. That's how we met in Lufthansa System Forums. And I've been responsible for the crew planning department there. And so while in Dubai, so I didn't join aviation here because I don't feel kind of attraction to join teams here for various reasons. But I've been working with Australian University for a year, and then I left, and now I created my online coaching service, I would say, rather than business. But I'm just always curious about aviation, and I've been quite involved in fatigue risk management in aviation, and that's quite connected with the thing that I'm doing now. So stress management, chronic stress management, and all this stuff concerned with human, basically mind, body, and so nice to be here.
Maybe a good topic later on to discuss lockdown fatigue and how we can mitigate the risk of it. So let's go again to Germany. Sabine.
So hi there, I'm Sabine. I'm working for Lufthansa Airlines. I'm a cabin crew manager for, let's say, more than experienced 7 years. I have been working in Bangkok, being the supervisor of our regional flight attendants, and it's based in Bangkok. And now I'm back in Germany and working at the base in Frankfurt. Yeah. And I'm very happy to be here, that you host me. Thank you for that.
And now it's a big honor to welcome the proposer of Ladies Beyond Flying, because it was Gwina who suggested us this nice title for the group. Let's go to Singapore.
Hello everyone, my name is Gwina Baek. I'm from Korea, but currently I'm working in Singapore, in Jefferson. Before I joined the Jefferson, I work in the airlines in Korea called Jeju Air. So mainly I dealt with SMS, safety management system, and I was dealing with pilots manpower planning. And now I'm in Jefferson doing crew system business consulting in pre-sales. And I am very happy to be here to see a lot of girls in aviation industry. Yeah, thank you.
And no camera today, Gwina?
I can, hang on, but I look very turkey, but I will show you my face. And I have to warn you, in Singapore, it's almost 10 p.m. So I've been drinking wine, so my face is a bit red.
Yeah, but that's good. If it's dark, you can always work with the shadows and so on. No problem for us.
Yeah, I look actually nicer than this, but okay, next time I will show you a pretty side of me. Yeah.
So then let's go to Canada again. Kelsey.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hello, I am Kelsey. I have been a flight attendant with Emirates for 5 years now. Unfortunately, I was a part of the redundancies, so I've come from Dubai to Canada, and I'm looking forward to meeting with you guys today.
The country where I asked my wife to become my wife was Portugal. So let's go to Portugal. Fatima.
Hello, everybody. My name is Fatima. So as Daniel said, I'm from Portugal. I live in Lisbon for many years. I've been working most of my life in the IT industry, so technology. And I also worked in the airline and airport industry as well. For some years, I worked not only with CITA for Spain and Portugal, so I was responsible for all the systems in the airports from Spain and also the airlines in Portugal and Spain. And now I am working in the, let's say, artificial intelligence, business intelligence solutions for not only for the airline industry, but also for the airports. And I'm really very happy to be part of this group and learn a lot and share all the experiences that you may have with me as well. Thank you.
Good to having you with us. Mladenka, where are you? Are you in Montenegro or in Mauritius at the moment?
Still in Montenegro. Got a little bit funny here with our famous COVID issue for this year. So my name is Mladenka. I work for Maureva. My company is based in Mauritius, and this is where I'm based usually. I am originally from Montenegro, hence spending this lovely year back home. So Maureva is an IT provider for the airlines. We provide different suite of products that help airlines address the day-to-day business need. And before that, I was working in an airline, so Montenegro Airlines, as you may guess, since I'm from there. My current duties are more distribution related than crew and pilot related, but I still fondly remember the time from Montenegro Airlines where I was handling that part as well. So I met Daniel through these lovely virtual happy hours, and I'm glad that he reached out and contacted me, and I really enjoy myself in these panels to exchange the experience and talk to different topics with all of you guys, because it's always nice to hear different opinions.
Thank you very much. Let's go to Miami. Nikki.
Hi, I just logged in. Good morning, everyone. I'm Nikki. I work for Lufthansa Technik in Miami. I do mostly marketing and sales coordination. Not too many events going on right now, but I love seeing you all every time when we meet.
Fantastic. We have a new joiner, Anna Beatriz. Where are you located, please?
Hi, how are you? I like to be called Beatriz, just because Ana Beatriz, only my mom calls me like that.
Ah, okay.
I am in Madrid, in Spain, and I am the Director of Revenue Management for Iberia Airlines. So very, very nice to meet you all.
The pleasure is on our side. Then we have Katarina.
I guess it's me, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, hello, I'm Kate. Kate is better. It's easier to pronounce. I'm based in Minsk, Belarus, and I'm a team member of air travel startup Weta, which connects passengers before the flight and at the airport, providing airports and airlines with means to reach out to passengers before their travel. I'm also working in our parent company, Softarx Technologies, which is a software provider for various industries, actually, but also aviation. So I'm mainly responsible for working with clients and delivering projects for them, dealing with computer vision, artificial intelligence, machine learning, stuff like that. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm really happy to meet all the beautiful girls here.
Wow, 15 minutes in the call and everybody is happy. I think that's a great achievement already. So let's go to Agnes.
Hi everyone. This is Agnes Lamba, or you can call me Aggie, but whichever. So for me, this is the first time here. I'm really pleased to be here. I'm really pleased to be invited because I think I don't know yet any of you. I work for Wizz Air. This is a European low-cost carrier for those that are not in Europe and probably don't know us yet. And I have been doing a lot of things in aviation, just a bit less than 10 years of experience. I did emissions trading for airlines, airport development, public affairs, and very recently I was assigned to have the leader of the sustainability strategy of the Wizz Air group. So this is what I'm currently doing, and I'm really thrilled to be here and meet many of you. I wish one day we can meet in person as well.
If I think we can do this in Budapest, and Wizz Air can be the official sponsor of this group, and then I think everybody is taking a Wizz Air flight.
Yeah, actually we could. We are very famous for sponsoring events. No, as a low-cost carrier. Thank you so much, Daniel, for the invite.
So now we are going to Canada, and of course now the thrill is pretty high because Christine and Monovara, I hope you are both ready to tune in to give Monovara a little bit more time to fix her camera problem. Let's start with Christine, please.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited that our 3 people in Canada on the call. Welcome, Kelsey and Manoir. When I see your face, I'll be happy. My name is Kristen Digra. I am so grateful for this group. I became aware of Daniel Stecher back in January of this year when I read a white paper of his. And he reached back out and said, "You read my white paper. What did you think?" And I never answered him because I was super busy with my job at Air Canada. And after everything happened and we were all at home and I had more time to spend on LinkedIn, I reconnected with Daniel and started joining his VHHs in all their inceptions. Gwina, I'm not drinking wine because it's 8:30, 8:45 in the morning. I'm drinking coffee in my brand new
Coffee time.
Christmas mug. It looks like Christmas here. It's snowing again. Ugh.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, awesome is one word for it. Yes, I'm actually happy I don't have to drive in it a lot because I don't have my winter tires yet.
Okay, sorry, the
so
Floridian talking.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, the Floridian talking. When we say snow is awesome, we're kind of selfish. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's actually, this is funny, Nikki. I thought of you last night. I'm not doing any charities this year. I am the charity given the fact that I'm not working, but I got one of my annual give us monies from the SPCA. And one of the things they sent as an incentive was a picture of a very cheaply made coaster of a pig in snow. So I thought of Piloto yesterday when I saw that.
That's adorable.
Yeah, it was really cute. So I was with Air Canada for almost 20 years. And I am one of the 22,000 plus people who is no longer with Air Canada following the job cuts. And again, I'm very happy for this group. I'm happy to speak with all of you. I'm feeling rather upbeat today, but it's been kind of crummy lately. I'm sick of looking at job postings. I'm tired of it, but I have seen a few that I find interesting. I was on the phone with a friend from a former Air Canada employee who's now with CAE yesterday, looking into some prospects there. So you never know what's going to happen. But I got to tell you, 52, you have to keep using your brain. I'm forgetting things about my old job, which I find very bizarre because they were so ingrained in my head. It's a very odd feeling. Agnes, you're smiling. You'll go through it one day, my dear. Very transparent. There's nothing that I don't say out loud. So anyone who's been on the call before knows that. But welcome to everyone who is joining us for the first time today. This is the 6th time we're doing this. And I'm speaking very loudly because I'm hoping to get my kid out of bed. She's joining her online class soon. And that's it. Manoir, is your camera working, my dear?
No, it isn't. And I put some lip gloss and everything, but it's okay. I'm looking good. I tried. My husband tried to help me, but no luck. So I'll just go without the camera. Sorry. Are you done, Christine?
Absolutely, for now.
All right. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon. It's such a pleasure to see all of you, although you can't see me, which is actually nice in a way. So happy to be here. And then I was just thinking this was such a brilliant idea to do this virtual discussions or just like meeting, because we all need it, I think, especially myself. I'm not working right now. I'm in the same boat as Christine. I was let go by Air Canada in June of this year. And prior to, I worked with Air Canada almost 10 years. Prior to that, with Continental Airlines in Toronto for close to 14 years. And I've worked in different parts of the airline, like in-flight, the airport. And then in India, I worked with GSA, that's a general sales agency for Air France. So it's been a long ride, almost 26 plus years. And it's so nice to be here listening to all of you. And it's also wonderful that we can connect to diverse people and make this whole community as smaller. And then, of course, listening to everyone. And, you know, we all have, sometimes some of us are opinionated. And I love that Daniel is so good with all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. But this time I brought my emotional support colleague Marco with me. And it's also a great pleasure because he is at the end, he is the brain behind all this. Okay, maybe not the women panel, but the virtual happy hour and the virtual Christmas hour and all that stuff. And also the wine tasting, it's all him. So it's now time for the first commercial break. Marco, the stage is yours.
I'm not going to do any commercial breaks, especially not if you introduce me like an emotional support dog.
No, I haven't said a dog, I said colleague.
But you made it sound like I'm your emotional support dog, so...
but that means, Marco, that you're the okay one and he's the one that needs that.
Well, I can tell you he needs a lot of support.
But you're the cute one, so don't worry about the other stuff.
My day typically starts at 7 o'clock in the morning when he's driving to his office. I mean, he has this tendency of driving to an office. I don't know why. Everyone else is working from home. He feels like he has to rent an office space, so he drives to the office, which is fine. I don't care about that. The thing that is a little bit irritating is that he thinks that he can use that time to call me in the morning. So 7 o'clock is when I typically have started. I haven't shaved yet. Wait, by the way, I still haven't shaved, and it's coming up to 3 o'clock. At 7 o'clock in the morning, I typically haven't even finished my first sip of coffee, and he calls me, and he's beaming with energy, like, "Good morning." I'm like, fucking hell. You know, what is it this time? Anyways, I'm not here to rant about Daniel, because after all, even emotional support dogs love their patron. So my name is Marco Contento. I've been in this industry for 20 years now. I've been introduced like that for over 20 years at a webinar last time, and I realized that I should start wearing hoodies and shirts and not a suit, because if you're introduced that way, you already feel old, so at least I can try to dress as if I'm a little younger. So I've been in this industry for 20-some years, working for airlines as well as tour operators, so sitting on the side of buying and implementing technology, as well as working on the selling IT side. Yeah, and in IBS, I've been 4 years in IBS, and I look after the passenger services product suite. And this is my first time being adopted, not just as an emotional support dog, but also amongst all these women. So I try to behave today.
Thank you, Marco. It's a big pleasure to have you with us. And I appreciate that I may be your colleague because you are much longer in the company than me. So to all the new joiners to that group, maybe a blunt question. Why have you joined the group? Why have you responded on a male invitation to join a females group? What motivated you to be part of this vibrant group of global women? Agnes, Katharina, Susanne, Nadine, Sabine. Yes, please. Very good. Raise your hand. That's a good feature, yeah.
Well, actually, you invited me to this group, and I had a look at the group, and I thought, oh, that's a good idea. And I just explored LinkedIn more than having uploaded my CV to spread out the news. Christine, I'm looking for work because, well, still I'm employed, but I'm feared to lose my job. And I'm not 52, but 51. So I exactly know what you were talking about. So I think it's an opportunity to network. And even if it's just sharing the experience about the emotions of short-term work, or however you call it, or whatever you have experienced. I mean, I feel like very privileged that I still have my contract and I'm still allowed to work on some days. But still, it's a huge challenge for me to survive, because if you are in a leading position, you cannot stop thinking about your employees and their needs and everything, but you're not allowed to work. And not to work is not even use the Teams app on your private on your private device. So I have to use the browser because everything is locked and they will double check it. So this is the greatest news I got today, and I'm really feared to lose my money because I always use my Microsoft Teams app privately. So each day is a huge challenge, and I have to admit I'm so tired of all the corona topics, of staying at home. I'm so tired of having my glass of wine some nights alone because I'm just here by myself. So yeah, it's a big, huge challenge, but still I live in peace and I have my work, and I need to be grateful for that. Yeah.
Sabine, usually men always come with a solution. Of course, that's not good. Usually we just have to listen in. So, but I come with a solution, because if you join the virtual happy hour, you don't have to have your wine alone.
But it's still too early.
Yeah. This year is let's say it's not hard work, but that's not virtual happy hour. Virtual happy hour is today at 6 o'clock.
Oh yes, I see. I mix it up.
And the other slots are usually 7:15. It depends. There is of course a big challenge because you have to decide on your own when are you doing a virtual happy hour. In April, May, we sent out invitations, and then you just had to say yes and no. And now it's your own responsibility to find a slot in your personal calendar and to make your bookings. But I think we had plenty of good virtual happy hours over the summer, and I think we will also have it in winter, because with the lockdown situation in many countries, I think the best time to share is with a glass of wine.
Well, since I don't know how to log in, I have a lot to do and to work on my digital how you say
footprint.
Skills.
Yes, skills, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, so thank you for having me.
The pleasure is on our side. So Catherine Creedy, you also raised your hand, and then next is Jurat.
Okay, well, I joined because I was very, very curious about what Daniel was doing, and he's new to me. He and I linked up on LinkedIn, which is a great platform on which I share all the time. If I see an article I think that people who follow me would be interested in, mostly on aviation, I posted on LinkedIn. And the other reason is diversity is a big issue for me. And in fact, I just did a story this week on what's wrong with diversity programs in aviation and aerospace, based on a new study out of the UK. And it really gives us a pathway forward. So, but one of the things that I'm so impressed with this group is so many people are in IT and in the technology side, which is, to me, I've been hearing rumblings for probably 3 or 4 years of the workforce shortages in IT and airlines, and how challenging that is, and how difficult it is to recruit IT talent because airlines are not viewed as leading edge technology. So I may be coming back to you guys for a story later on what are the workforce challenges for IT, and what does IT in the aviation industry do. And I also do a lot on aviation maintenance, so Lufthansa Technik is always on my radar. So I just thought this was a really good opportunity to network with some really smart people.
Thank you for that. By the way, you have not yet read any of my white papers like Christine. I think she read all of them.
Well, I'm coming back to you. I made a note saying I need to come back and get to the white papers. So I look forward to that, Daniel.
That's the least you can do. I get a drink from Monorara and you read my white papers. You ate my day already.
Katarina, I read your article yesterday and I dove into this study as well. And as long as we're talking about diversity, it's very important to me that we talk about true diversity. I feel like I'm living two lives on LinkedIn. I am very connected with this group and all of the different forums. as well as I'm very fortunate, I've developed a huge network of hashtag Black LinkedIn. There are some very interesting things going on with shadow banning and whatnot. There's actually been an article in New York Times about it, in several articles. When we talk about diversity, we absolutely must start with Black women. Let's face it, they are the ones who got the vote out, and starting with Stacey Abrams, and basically made sure that the United States can go back to a more human perspective. So I haven't dove into the study too much, but does it actually talk about true diversity, or just women?
Not.
Because we're not
It
diversity.
does not. And one of my biggest complaints about diversity is it seems to stop at women. And I've been talking to the Latin Pilots Association, organization for Black aerospace professionals, et cetera. And the way we wove that into the article was to say that we can't just stop at women, that the lessons learned from this study, which is extremely important, because it tells us what's wrong with what the efforts are, and that's the first time I've seen that anywhere. But all the lessons learned can be applied to all of our diversity efforts, and we really can't. And that's one of the things they make a point of, that this diversity is not just about women. You can have a strategy for women, but it should be part of a larger strategy for diversity as a whole. And as I've talked to, I'm very interested in your Black network, because I'd like to join that. Because what I'm told, by Black professionals is that really the problem is intention of management and inclusion of thought. It's not just enough to tick a box. It's and think you're done. It has to be all part of a wider diversity strategy, not just focused on women. And what I see in the aviation industry now is it stops at women, and we can't let that happen. We're at an historic time in our lives where Black Lives Matter and Me Too and all of these social movements really are dictating that this time has to be different.
Yeah, it's the intersectionality, and not to, I think I'd love to have a conversation offline with you, Katerina, if we could, not to take over the panel, but I really appreciated you posting that article and the study.
Thank you. And it's Catherine. I like Catherine better.
Oh,
but there's
fantastic.
another Katerina on here, so I don't want to get us confused.
So Jurate is next. So you raised your hand.
Yeah, I did. And just a technical question. Can I see a gallery view of more people? Should I press something or?
Yeah, let me check. You can go on.
Usually on top right.
On
the top right, you see three buttons. You see three dots.
No, actually, I don't see anything. I tried to press all the buttons possible here, but I don't see possibility.
Are you on the app or are you in the browser?
I'm by a browser.
Then I'm not sure.
I select now the together mode. It's under the view options, the three dots.
It is. However, I still have a limitation. I'm on the app. I have the three buttons, but when I was using my daughter's computer in the summer, I had the ability to change my background. I no longer have that, even though I've unloaded and reloaded the app. And Marco, I understood that you had the same issue. I need some IT help at some point.
So let's go to Katerina then. I think to Minsk. Is it Minsk?
Yep. I'm just trying to switch on the video, but seems like it's not working. So yeah, I met you, Daniel, through LinkedIn. It was completely random, and yeah, it was quite a recent discovery of your profile, and when you offered this invitation, I was really happy because not only I'm a woman, I'm a kind of a newbie in the air travel business, in aviation business. I was a freelance translator from English and German for 3 years before joining my startup, and I consider myself very lucky in the way that I found a business, a startup that resonated with me. I discovered that I have a big passion for aviation, and in particular, my startup is concentrates on, you know, this excitement when you meet a new person sitting next to you on a flight, and I was always waiting for who will be that person, what kind of person will be sitting next to me, and will we have a conversation. And my startup facilitates this connection between people. Obviously, with COVID, some of our projects are put on hold, especially with airports, but we do have big plans with airlines and airports in terms of integration, and I just really wanted to network with women that obviously have more experience than me, but I'm constantly learning, and just I'm here for insights, you know. Yeah, but
So you want to know some secrets? Maybe
yeah.
later in the course of the session we can share some of the secrets. You raised your hand again.
Yeah, because I didn't have the chance to say why I'm here.
That's why you have now, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. So there were actually few points that really were attractive for me. So one of the points, not the first though, it's like this professional ambition, because knowing Daniel, I know you very little, but still observing you in the meetings and forums that we've been, and following your career in LinkedIn. So you can see how ambitious and charismatic person you are. So you should and your team should kind of gather a very vibrant and beautiful, inspiring people. But actually, the main, I think, motive for me to join it was, as a lot of women mentioned before, is though we don't want to speak and focus on this pandemic and virus situation. Nonetheless, I start to acknowledge more and more how connection, communication, and this virtual happy hour, not making everything only totally about focus, work, and job, but like really human to human connection, right? It's how fundamentally important it is for our mental health, for our physical health. So I think this was the biggest attraction. Though we in Dubai, we are not in lockdown, so we can walk, we can meet people. Nonetheless, like really high quality connections and being able to see faces and reactions. I think it's it's one of the medicines that we need to have in this kind of very uncertain time of people losing their jobs, being in very unknown situations, which is extremely triggering to our nervous system. So like kind of having a support pool where you can discuss professional things at the same time, a bit of a some emotional side, and like a beautiful gathering of beautiful people.
Thank you for that. Good. And we have still Olivia. I think you were mentioning you were a fresh pilot. So what motivated you to join the group?
Yeah, so I just finished my commercial pilots training in October, and obviously I am out of work because of the coronavirus, so I haven't been able to find myself a job yet. But I've been involved in the industry for a few years now. I worked as cabin crew before I started my pilot training, and I got the invitation via LinkedIn, and I've been trying to stay as connected as possible within the industry whilst all of this chaos is going on, particularly because once hopefully we come out the other side, I'll be looking for a job. So it's quite important for me to try and keep as connected as possible. So I think this is a great way to meet some other colleagues in various different parts of aviation and kind of stay in the know with things, as well as create a good network of people to talk to.
Have you considered the cargo industry?
Yeah, so I've been looking into a few things. I'm still waiting for my license to arrive. That's how fresh out of training I am.
Well, I also do work with the Regional Air Cargo Carriers Association in the U.S., and they're always looking for staff. And this has kind of been a boon to them because they've had shortages and had to leave money on the table because they don't have enough pilots. So I might just check out regional cargo airlines.
Yeah, cargo's been doing really well, so I definitely will look into that. I just need to wait for my license to arrive first.
Let's go to Madrid. Anna, so what motivated you to join?
So in my case, I actually also saw one post that Nadine, that's here in LinkedIn, had liked on the organization, and it seemed quite an interesting approach that I hadn't seen before in the aviation context. And being an enthusiast of aviation, I've been in this industry for more than, I think it's 15, 16 years now. I think it's a good moment for having more women empowered to do many of the jobs that are usually done in aviation. They're usually done by men, or that not many women aspire to be in them. And every day more, I see many more women, as someone said here, like IT related jobs, or pilot related jobs, but also in the more technical or even financial aspects of the airline, like myself in revenue management. So I thought it was really interesting to share these experiences and perspectives, and see out there what everyone has to face and deal with, and what are all those new ideas and new horizons that we're looking at. As it was just said, that I'm tired of talking about COVID. I'm really fed up with that as well, even though I still have to suffer it in the revenue. But I do think that there's more in both the industry, in being women, and in sharing, than just the current situation we're in. And we have to plan not for tomorrow, but for what we're going to be in the next 15, 20 years, how we want this industry to look like, and how we also inspire other women to go into this business, and take the lead into it, not just participate, but actually take the lead. I think that almost 60 or 70% of my team is composed of women. I have a team of 70 people, and so I have more than 50 people that are women, but very few of them actually know why they're in this business. They like it a lot. They don't really know where to go from here, or what else they can do. There are many challenges that we have that I think can be overcome by having conversations, open conversations, of how to deal with those aspects of being a woman, households, families, or just in general, the prejudgments that you can find out there, and how things are done, and why things are done. And I think that we've come a long way already, but there's still more to go and more to happen.
Thank you, Anna, for this nice comment. I think what attracted me very much, or the key word, was inspiration for other women. And I think that's also a good moment to again introduce Anne, who I'm always calling the grandmother of all this, but probably everybody from the aviation knows the grandfather rights, 80-20 rule, and that's why she has the grandmother rights of this group. And there was also a small debate about the name of this group, because some of the younger girls didn't like Old Girls Club. So maybe, Anne, you can give again your view on the name of the group, and why we have now Ladies Beyond Flying and Old Girls Club all together.
All right. Well, of course, the original idea was the Old Girls Club was, a take on the Old Boys Club. And that was the first discussion we had in this group. We started talking about how, how close the Old Boys Club is. I was in a very interesting discussion about that yesterday. And because I used to work for Monty Brewer at one stage in life, and whom I like very, very much, someone that he was CEO of Canada. And now I work for, one of the companies where he was an owner. And we were talking, I was talking to a guy who works in the alliance of IAG. We had a long chat yesterday, and actually said that, of course, Monty is part of, that group of people who are absolutely everywhere in the world. And they all know one another, right? And actually they are all men. And that's something that it's very interesting. That old boys club in aviation is extremely male dominated and very, very close. They are very close, and they look out, all the time for one another. And that's the original discussion. And we said, and I had been admitted into Iowa, and like I said to Daniel when we were talking about it, that's I said that it was quite expensive if you fund it yourself, and I found that it wasn't really all that supportive, right? I didn't get a sense of supportiveness, and that could also have to do with the fact that they are mostly the women in Iowa are mostly working in legal. They're usually lawyers, right? And of course, I come from distribution and airline IT, right? So completely different field. So that was the original thought. And I remember being interviewed by Byron Calvinson years ago, and I said, actually on this topic, the old boys club and men and train and planes. And that was also something that came up in the discussion yesterday with the guy from IAG. It's very interesting how, as young boys, they are they grow up very, very interested in trains and planes. And like I said, the typical IT project, when I worked at Lufthansa, I was there for 3 years, the airline.com project, 48 guys and 2 women. I mean, that's the usual sort of environment. So that was a very long-winded explanation to how the group. I can't remember actually, Daniel. We were having some group discussion, right? And these topics came up, and we said that there is a need for women to support one another and try to help. And if you have a long experience, like Catherine was saying, you have a long experience in this, of course you can give advice and tips and thoughts and share thoughts and say, well, these are my pennies worth, how you should handle this. And if there's one good thing that can come out of this pandemic, coming back to airline IT, I think, well, my penny's worth again, and it's difficult to guess, but if there is going to be some much needed change in airline IT, it is going to happen now or soon, I believe. Because I think that finally business sense is going to prevail. And again, that was my discussion yesterday. It was on so-called virtual interlining, and actually no need for revenue accounting, and very, very long, discussion. But we have to start thinking in a more connected retail, what makes sense business-wise for airlines. That was a very, very long-winded answer to Daniel's question. So that's how the group got started, with some enthusiastic women. Would you agree, Kristen? You were there from the beginning.
I do. I always have something to add, but Mladenka has her hand up, and I don't want to interrupt. Mladenka, the floor is yours.
Oh yes, perfect.
And she's on mute.
You're on mute, sweetie.
One of the most commonly said phrases these days. You are
I
on
know.
mute. Mm.
You're on mute.
And
My
also,
camera froze.
exactly. Or
Nadinka,
hello.
are you there?
I am here.
There
On
you
mute, as you
are.
said. What I said, Christine, is I really love your energy. By the way, it's really amazing me right from the start. And back, how did I end up here? So as I said, Daniel invited me kindly to virtual happy hours, and I really like the idea and all the atmosphere there. And then he decided to create a first pretty much women aviation panel, which Daniel, you kind of beat me to it, because that was an intention that I had in mind for our own user meeting that was supposed to be this year, but it never happened. And the idea and the topic really was kind of bothering me attending all of these lovely IATA meetings, as Anne pointed really perfectly. You have about 1 woman against 5 to 10 men on any topic. So,
yeah, so it
as
really
I said,
leads to group thought. Group thought is not going to help any organization.
Then you had the initiative also to diversify, and they also have put in a lot of effort there. And their pain point was actually the CEO of Qatar and his famous statement a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Which was pretty much all you women are good for is kitchen and nothing else.
Right.
And they came into the discussion where, of course, they looked at the board of governors of IATA, where you have now 2 women, and this is improvement. So, so this is the atmosphere, and this is where we are walking around. And again, I am from IT, I'm coming from Montenegro. This diversification or this difference between men and women in Montenegro on STEM pretty much does not exist. It's kind of equal. So this was not a topic that was even coming to my eyesight before I started to work in this lovely industry. So as I said, Daniel beat me to it, and the topic was there in my mind, and it was moving kindly forward. So I also participated to quite a few of IATA panels, and again, since they started to diversify, instead of 1 or none women of the panel, you could have maybe 2 and 2. And on the last IATA financial symposium, so last one that they organized before the COVID, there was fantastic Gianna Monch, who really contributed on settlement processes in airline industry to streamline and develop all that it is there. She organized the panel, and at that moment she really managed to have her, me, and just another guy on the stage, and she was joking bluntly, guys, this is the first one where you have women in majority, so mark it. You should pay attention. So as I said, there's always a funny part also in that thing. So I'm also really happy with how Daniel evolved the idea. So we started as a panel, then it was a really nice discussion, very positive exchange, and then we came to these happy hours, which again are making me happy, because I always hear some new things and some new stories which are really funny, and still feel some very positive energy even if we are not in the same room, and that's lovely.
Well, caffeine really helps me be energized, and you guys are what does it. But Nadine, you had something you wanted to say.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Well, also thank you for inviting me. It's my first time I joined. And I think what struck me, Daniel, that you actually as a male took the initiative to contact, well, the woman all around. And I think at the end, it's very important to have male supporters in this initiative. The world is not going to change without you guys. And I think especially also in a professional environment, it's very important to have sponsors who support you, especially male people who will raise their voice if, I would not be able to speak up. So I'm very excited to see where this group can take us. I think it's great that it's a group that includes both. And I would be also interested to see or to hear your opinion on it. What made you form this group, shape this group, and, well, drive it at the end?
Well, I can just give you the summary of the, say, evolution of the virtual happy hour, because at the end of March, Marco and me and some other colleagues, we were having an internal virtual happy hour with the colleagues from IBS, and we were then saying, wow, why we are not inviting some guests. And then over the time, of course, as more virtual happy hour you have, as more you're thinking, okay, what is next? And then we had some country presentation, we had some wine tastings, and I was then meanwhile planning already the business event from IBS Software during the summer. That was the Virtual Ops 2020, and as part of it we had, for example, a pilots panel where only pilots were on stage. We had some technology experts, and I thought, okay, why not also having a women-only panel? And I was always the moderator. So that was then the situation where also sometimes my boss is asking, Daniel, why you are having this women's group? Why is there not a lady? But okay, I was in the Virtual Happy Hour, Virtual Ops 2020, and that was then like the logical consequence. And I'm always amazed from all the conversations we have, and also from the openness. So I still remember, I think it was in the fourth panel when Christine was having also her emotional moment, or also Maria, who is not today in this call, was also having an emotional moment. And that was, for me, also the motivation to keep going, because when the Virtual Ops 2020 season was over, I was then asking the women, what do we do with that? And then they said, let's go on. And my goal was, of course, then to have 100 members. Meanwhile, we are above 200. So my next goal is to have 500 and 1,000 and so on. And I remember 1995, I brought 100,000 cyclists on the streets of Berlin, and we were rallying for a better climate during the World Climate Conference, and we had 100,000 cyclists. At that time, I was working for a cycle messenger company, so I was very close to that. And so having 1,000 women in one panel is, of course, difficult to handle in teams, because I think we can only have 250, but maybe we have 4 parallel sessions with 1,000 women, and I learn a lot from you. I'm always feeling like Mel Gibson in this movie, where I can now listen what women are thinking, and that's for me my takeaway.
Fatima, what's up?
Okay, so I was just also letting you know and explain why I joined this team. I met Daniel, so it started with Daniel as well. So I met Daniel in Montreal in an IATA Flight Ops conference 3 years ago, maybe 3 years ago already, I think. And he invited me also in March for the virtual happy hour, which was really very interesting. We met, we discussed, we listened to everyone, and it was really very, very nice. And then I also presented we had also the country presentations where I also presented my country, and everybody, some of the people that are here presented their countries as well. And it was really a nice way to know a lot more about other countries and other cultures. And it was really, was enthusiastic. At the same time, Daniel also invited me for the group, for the women's, and I thought this was really very, very another point of view of having another discussion, and also finding out how women are doing their their plans in their own countries, because at the same time we have only not people from one generation but different generations, and we can have different views and different understandings and also different cultures, and this is very helpful for all of us, so we can take a lot of takeaways, ideas, suggestions, and contribute to everybody to enrich the view, their life, and also contribute for the happiness of people that are not feeling so happy at this moment. But we all have our moments, and I think this is very important for all of us. And if it was, we have to see the positive side, is that the fact that we are positive, it can be positive. Under COVID, it's an opportunity. Sometimes we can find opportunities under these circumstances, and this is an opportunity for us to meet all of you and to discuss and to be able to join. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to meet probably, and this is a way to meet and get and get more information and help each other. I think this is the idea. So that's why I'm very, very happy that Daniel invited me and that I met, Anne and Christine and everybody that I met since the beginning. It has been very, very nice. So I'm very happy for that. And I hope to continue that we can and meet, physically one day, I hope also.
Anne.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. That would be great, wouldn't it, Fatima? We can have our
Yes.
ladies beyond
Joy,
flying.
yes,
Yes, with the t-shirts and everything. That would be
that's
great.
right.
Actually.
In every country, so we could meet in every country, a reunion.
Yeah,
It would be great. I hope
that would
so.
be great.
Yeah.
We could do a really interesting conference. No, I just wanted to add actually that I attended the PSS conference 2 weeks ago. And I was again so surprised that, it's just so male dominated, right? And almost every panel and every discussion, I think the only exception was, well, Hawaiian Airlines was represented by its 2 ladies, right? But it's just just really, really, it just doesn't change. And yeah, interesting.
But I think that in my experience, it's not only in the airline world. I think it's. I mean, I have been working not only in the airline industry, but also, in many other industries. And every time I go for an international meeting, I have too many men and less women. And I think this happens more. And this was a surprise for me. In the North and Central Europe than in the Southern of Europe, because in the Southern of Europe, women work a lot more than in the Northern of Europe and Central Europe. For example, I met in many meetings that I had in the Netherlands or in Germany or Denmark, wherever, most of the women were either taking care of the children or they were, under maternity leave or things like this for 2 years or 2 another years. And for example, in Portugal, we don't have that. People go to the university, they study, they have to learn, they have to work. They only have 5 months to be at home, and then they have to work. They continue to work. So in Portugal, I see that we have more or less, I would say 40% of the women are in the meetings and in top management positions, and we don't have that kind of situation, not anymore, since many years. So I would say that most of the people that are in the university are women, not men, and so I think this helps to have more positions in the top management, in the government, in the ministries, in the industry, and in the universities. So I think this helps a lot. Nevertheless, we still continue to find out that women still earn less than men. Okay, so which reveals that before we were supposed to be at home and not working. So still the women are lower wages than the men in the same positions, and that's sad.
Yeah. So have you guys heard the expression manel? I heard it coined this year. It's not a panel, it's a manel.
Yes.
So what you're talking about is it's throughout the world. It's throughout every industry virtually. And something that's really disturbing as a statistic, and Catherine, maybe you've with your research found this, is that I don't know how many millions of women throughout the world are actually leaving the workforce because of the shelter in place and the work from home, and some people their work simply didn't allow it. I'm lucky. My kid's 16 going on 17. She's completely self-sufficient. I think I've fed her once in like the last 6 months. She does everything on her own. But I am not, there are a lot of other people that are not in the same position. Sabina, what did you have to say?
Well, actually, I started to be more active on LinkedIn because in Germany we do have a huge discussion about the ratio of board members. And since I'm married to a board member who is a male and who has no women in his board, we have plenty discussions at home, I have to admit. And I was like curious about these discussions taking place, and I'm a lawyer and I was working at the university for years, and then I decided to have a baby because I think it was very well planned to have a baby for my career, and I got twins. So I was out of the space for 11 years and nobody was willed to giving me work after 11 years, and I wanted to return. So, and in those days we did have kindergartens, but they were open from 8 to 12. That's it in the morning. And I had no grandma around or anybody who would support me. And I had this man in the house who wanted to make his career as well. So we were both career people. And as a matter of fact, one had to stop working. So there was no ratio of men staying at home, never ever. After, let's say, 10 years ago, we moved to the east to Leipzig. And I just started working 3 years before going back to work as a flight attendant at Lufthansa because nobody was willed to take me as a lawyer. So I thought, okay, let's be flight attendant, see the world and look what is happening. And I had a project at Lufthansa before when I was going to university, so I knew they would support me, which they did. After 2.5 years, I already had the function manager cabin crew, so I made my career as far as I could. But still, I'm limited. And now I'm limited and I'm over 50. And what I try to do is I try to network, to be visible. And but since you're older than 50 in Germany, it's not very easy. So if we talk about diversity and what is my part of it, or what can I do for it, I just can support younger women because I will not be supported, not by a male and not by a female. So and that's a kind of wisdom I would like to share, and that's very hard for me to take because I know I would do a good job and a better job than the people are doing. I have to work with, I have to deal with every day. So that gives me quite a hard time. But nevertheless, one thing I always try not to give up, like Winston Churchill said, never, never give up. So this is what keeps me going and not staying at home because I don't have to work. And since I'm in short-term work, I have heard so many times from my colleagues, oh, come on, you don't have to work, but I want to work. So this is the discussion I have to do every single day to tell the people why. What is my why to work? It's not the money. It's not about the money, yes, but it's because I need this work to extend and to develop myself. And that's nothing. Those women who discuss ratio and diversity would accept. And that's in my point of view, it's very disappointing that they think they're better persons, better women because they have a different goal. Over. Thank you for listening.
Of course. Anucha.
Anuja.
Are you on mute?
But Sabine, it's great that you join. I think it was good that we found you, and we would love that you're also taking an active role in that. And because I think this entire group lives also that every member can have an active part in order to drive this group forward. So if Anuja is still muted, then let's go to the US to Catherine again.
Yeah, I'm still muted, I guess.
Now, okay, very good. Now we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you, Christian, Daniel. Yeah, Sabine, it was very inspiring what you said, and always let's lean on to each other. That is what ladies could do. Regarding this virtual happy hour, of course, Daniel invited me also. Even though we were colleagues, we got to know each other through these virtual happy hours. So initially I was quite confused, sometimes just chit-chatting, sometimes somebody is taking about country presentation, sometimes there are some themes for the discussion. So later after 2-3 versions, I understood there is a name associated, 1.0, 1.1. So it's very interesting, and I'm a person who always loved traveling. With these country presentations, I could understand about a lot of countries, their cultures, food habits. So I absolutely loved those country presentations, and when thinking back in 2020, I have a lot of negative spots that I could not go back to meet my family. So many problems in official professional work. But a big green spot is there with respect to the virtual happy hour. A group of great networking, inspiring ladies, this ladies club. So going back to 2020, absolutely this is one highlight which I would like to always cherish. So thank you so much for being there, supporting each other, and yeah, looking forward to have wonderful discussions in future as well.
Catherine.
Well, I wanted to contribute a couple of things. One is, yes, we are at risk of losing all the progress we've made for women specifically because of COVID, because when somebody's career has to give, it's usually the women. And in many ways, the women are, it's not just, the companies are providing support for women, but clearly it's not enough, whether it's childcare or tutors or whatever. The article that I just published has I think it's $314 billion cost to the women's anxiety over COVID. Many women are dropping out as a result of that. But on the good news side, I'm seeing changes that I think are rather dramatic. I write for Aviation for Women, which is Women in Aviation International. And last year at the Women in Aviation International Conference, I interviewed a whole lot of aviation maintenance technicians who were women. And first of all, I think they have the most fun in the entire industry. Secondly, they are reporting that from a very early age, their fathers were the ones who encouraged them, don't you let anybody tell you can't do anything. And they are rising in their careers because of male mentors who have told them, gee, you should apply for this job or that job, who they wouldn't have applied to before, which is another problem that we face. And so women are rising. I see more women in airline operations than at any time in history. I'm putting together a list. I wanted it for the article, but it just took too long to do. A list of the top people in aviation and aerospace and defense that are women, and 3 of the top 5 aerospace and defense companies are run by women. And so that's progress in and of itself. So I thought that this list of women that I will ultimately put up on the web is going to be kind of a fun project, because it can't be all inclusive because I don't know them all. So I kind of put out to my friends, who am I missing? And of course they gave me some people I knew were women in aviation. Linda Markham, president of Cape Air. And I hadn't had on the list. So I think it's going to be a fun exercise, kind of interactive exercise to say, who am I missing here? And let's create a all-inclusive list of women in aviation who have risen to the top ranks. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the IATA conference, in which it was an all-male panel, and IATA got so raked over the coals for that, and from every woman in the industry, and deservedly so. And followed up by Al Bakar, who made his antediluvian statement at that point in time. And so in the article, I say that this puts the lie, all these high-rising women puts the lie to what corporations say, we can't find the talent, which we know is wrong. But it also, says to IATA and other organizations, if you're going to have a panel, you better have it representative Blacks, representative Latins, representative of women, because this echo chamber that they've created is one of the worst things that we have to overcome. That's just my 2 cents.
Oh, I have a name for you, Constance van Meulen. If you haven't been in touch with her, she's a former Air Canada. She's with Alaska.
Yes, I have her on my list. She's also
Good.
in operations. So that, usually our ghettos were human resources and public relations. Sometimes investor relations, but not CFO and all of that. But what I'm really liking is I see progress. American, Delta, Alaska, they are United, especially United has two women in ops, and all these airlines have women executives in operations. And United, there was a male vice president who organized the Chicks Fix team for the MRO competition. And it's an all women's team of aviation maintenance technicians. And they are a fun group of people. And I just had so much time so much fun interviewing them while I was at WAI. And so we are making progress, but it's slow, and we are at a crossroads in history now that must dictate that this cannot be slow anymore.
I agree. And if we don't take the opportunity to make our voices heard now, and that includes everybody on the call, me who's 52 and who found her voice for a very bizarre reason about 12 years ago, in front of about 300 people, which for me was unusual, believe it or not. And everybody, Olivia, you don't have your license yet. It doesn't matter. You can reach out to different people. There's a pilot I got to know through LinkedIn who was working for one of the regional airlines at Air Canada. She is now, I think, doing crop dusting or something like that. She is having a blast. And if you like, we can hook up offline, and I can give you her name and you can speak to her, because she's incredibly inspiring. And she's a fairly young pilot herself.
I'd also like to make one comment. Everybody is talking about their age, and I agree that 52, that's a scary time. I remember losing work at 52. Thanks, and how really horrible it was. And just to put icing on that cake is that I'm a single mom. I adopted 2 children as a single mom. So there was no safety net for me, and so you just have to do it. Well, today, I'm about a couple of weeks away from becoming 69. Let me just hold on to my desk for that. And because I've lost so much work this year, most of my freelance is paying half of what it was, so I'm working harder for less. And I lost a client. And I decided, well, I've had this idea of doing a workforce newsletter for a while. Why don't I just lean into it and do it and see where it goes? If it fails, then I know that I've done my best. If it works, then I have an income. And there's no retiring these days, none. Everybody I know who is retired are just rearranging their workload. It's not a retirement. So, and I'm not able to retire because single mom, 2 kids, college. I think that's why you're seeing more entrepreneurial activity, especially among older people, because corporate America, when we talk about diversity, corporate America has to understand that older Americans or older people are right in there. Right now, that's who we're losing because they're making the most. So it's a way to cut costs fast, but it's also a way to have a brain drain that hurts your company.
Kelsey, you have raised your hand.
Yeah, sorry, I'm probably going to backtrack a little bit. But as I mentioned before, I was a flight attendant with Emirates for 5 years. And it's interesting hearing some of the struggles that you ladies are experiencing, especially at this time. You were mentioning your age, and I think it was Christine, is it, that you mentioned 12 years ago you started to find your voice. So I'm kind of in the same scenario. Just to kind of give you some background, I'm 28, and unfortunately, because of my redundancy, I had to move back in with my parents. So I'm not in the ideal place that I want to be. And there was a lovely lady, I'm so sorry I forgot your name, who mentioned that you were a mother of twins, and that you two were experiencing limitations with going back into the workplace. Now, with my experience being 28, yes, I'm young, but people are looking at my resume and my experience and saying, despite having, 2 degrees and experience outside of aviation, they're looking at my resume and just saying, oh, you were cabin crew. So that's kind of what's limiting me a little bit, that, and again, some of my experience. So I was just curious to hear from you what else you guys are doing to sort of combat this issue. I know this is a step, participating in this group and networking, but I'm just curious to hear what you recommend to do to kind of, break those barriers.
Don't limit yourself to any industry. In fact, I had pretty much, I took the summer just to, after 30 years of working and never not being working, I took the summer with my mom's permission, because she's my most important voice, to just have my period of mourning and like, okay, so aviation's done. You had your dream job for the last year. It was awesome. I felt like I had too much fun. So, it's done. The only interviews I've had are with the frickin' aviation industry, one in the business jets world. Now, I haven't heard back from them, and the job is still posted, whatever. It was a fun interview. I loved it. I had a blast. I made them do a virtual, instead of a phone call. I wanted to see the face so I could get the body language. And if they call me back, I don't know if I want that job, but I need a job. I have severance until June 2021. And yes, Catherine, you drove home that point. Scary as hell being potentially without a salary with one child going into college, et cetera, et cetera. And I now look at my pension and going, holy crap, I have a lot of money from Air Canada, but that won't last me very long. Oh boy. So the other jobs I'm looking at, I'm trying to look outside the industry. So look at, first of all, don't let anyone tell you that cabin crew is just cabin crew. That's a load of crap. You are the most steadfast, the training that you have to go through. And I know this because several years ago at Air Canada, and I apologize, Anne and Fatima and Guina, I'll make this quick. Several years ago at Air Canada, there was going to be a strike. I think it was during salary negotiations or union negotiations. So some management people had to be trained as flight attendants. The training, I would hear them go through it. And some of them, they had to organize the training like at these crazy hours at night in order to fit all the training in. You could only fail like one test in the entire training and forget it. That's it. That's all. And even though they hadn't applied for that job, they had been voluntold, you need to do this. They were incredibly like, oh my God, what if I fail a test and I can't do the job? And no, it's a hard training. You have to learn all of the aircraft types. It's freaking hard. Yes, it's not aviation maintenance. You're not turning the wrench, but you need to be able to tell aviation. I was in maintenance for a long time. You need to be able to tell maintenance when they come on board what's wrong. And the better you know all your systems, the better you can help them. So don't let anyone don't let anyone put you in the corner, baby. Okay?
Right.
If you don't
the comeback to that is you are a certificated aviation professional. Right. So you're not just a waitress in the sky. You are a certificated aviation safety professional. Thank you very much.
Especially right now. Those who are flying are literally keeping people healthy on board.
Let's go to Singapore. Let's go to Gina. For her, I think is at the moment very late, isn't it, Vina?
Very late.
No, it's fine because I'm drinking wine, so it's fine. I'm just wondering, you know, I still remember, I'm from Aviation University, Korea Aerospace University. So we have, let's say, 90% of the students are male. So only 10% of students are female. I still remember I attended one annual session with ICAO, and there was 100 speakers and panels. 99 panels and speakers are male, and only one speaker was female. I was very, very shocked. And at the moment, I was 21 years old, and now I'm 34. So it was like 14 years ago. So I asked my professor, so why is it? And then he told me that historically, after Second World War, all the pilots, you know, the Air Force pilots, they knew what they can do, what they could do. So most of the pilots went to the airline industries, and all of them now they are taking the higher position. So he explained to me that it's very natural because of the historical factors. And then he told me that also, so eventually women will take some places as well, Vina, because now, you know, women are going to the aviation industries. So it just need time. You guys just need to have time. That's what I've been told. So I'm not telling you guys are old, but I'm telling you that because obviously you guys have more experience than I am, right? I have. So is it true? Can I believe that? And then can I just do work hard and you know I can hope that eventually and one day we will have our turn. By the way, I'm not feminist, but that's what my professor told me, that it just takes time, and it was so natural for men who were Air Force pilots, because most of the Air Force pilots were men, right? At the moment when we were doing the Second World War. So that's what he told me. Is it true? Can anyone help me to understand?
Yes, yeah, I can help you understand. That's a very male perspective because around the world, women were flying. We have the WASPs in the United States. I understand there was a similar service in Britain, and they were basically told to go home and make families before the war was even over, and they were never considered veterans until I think a couple of years ago. And when one granddaughter got her grandmother buried at Arlington National Cemetery, so it's because the men were in charge. It's not just the natural progression of men rising in their careers from being pilots. It's because the men were in charge, and they said, now that the war is over, we need those jobs for men. So women, you're no longer needed. Go home and make families. And a lot of women said, okay, we don't like this. Not much they could do about it, but remember, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a lawyer, and she was not able to practice. She became a professor, and her time came. So we have to understand that we have to fight back against male domination.
Anne.
Yeah.
Oh, mute. You're on mute.
We lost
No,
you.
no.
There's you.
I want to deny this because, you know, I really thought it's not like, how can I say? It was not manipulated in this way. I really thought it just takes time. Then the more we involve in this industry, it can change. But now I am thinking, because I used to work for the airline and then I work in the flight operation division. I remember that all of the managers and directors are men, because most of the managers and directors are pilots.
Actually, that was what I wanted to, sorry, I finally managed to unmute. I wanted to say, it's not only that panel, you know, that you saw, the IATA panel, right? That was all male. You go and look at some of these companies, you know, you look at Amadeus, for example. Okay, there is Julia Sattel, but, you know, most of them are around the same age. They're actually from the same French schools. They're very, I mean, in leadership in Amadeus, it's the same. It's that group of people, right, who they're obviously, you know, good buddies, and they've sponsored one another since their university days. Amadeus is just one example. I could give you 10 more easily of companies that I know well, where I've seen exactly very, very similar. So coming back to that is actually the whole boys club, and that's there, and it's a very interesting topic, and I think, you know, we could discuss that some more. I was also thinking that it would be good to, something I've noticed, because I had a female friend of mine who asked me about this. She said she's applying for a job. And I also think that women tend to be, you know, not so, we don't really Google enough. We don't do Glassdoor. We don't benchmark enough. We don't, you know, there is just, yes, some of us do, right? We don't, there's a lot, you know, go in and just say, this is the money that I want for this job, or someone said to me, my God, you're so brave, because in one interview, I just said, why do you want to hire me, right? So that's an interesting topic that we should discuss at some point. That's actually something we should do, gather some more topics for the next panel. There you go. Daniel is always prepared, isn't he?
I'm just making suggestions because the time is over.
Yes.
I saw that Anna from
Okay.
Iberia left already, and that's just a proposition, because I think in 4 weeks' time we are maybe all under Christmas stress, and all the people who have to digest the virtual Christmas hour, they have maybe still maybe a big hat and so on. So that's why I think let's plan maybe for early January 21. And I'm sure 21 will be a fantastic year compared to 2020. Of course, the virtual happy hour and the panel is a silver lining, but that's just a suggestion. So maybe I will send to everybody a follow-up email. And I also like the idea of collecting some topics. And I think earlier in some other panels, we also discussed to have a single point of contact for certain topics. And that's maybe also something where we can maybe share the responsibility, and that we get also the drive in the group. I'm also encouraging you all to share, please, the link of the group in LinkedIn. So our goal is to have 500 members. At the moment, we are 203. And if everybody from you is bringing just one member, it's so easily to reach this next milestone. So I hope for everybody who is pretty new in this group, you like the atmosphere and the mood in this panel discussion, and that's maybe also encouraging you to network with each other. So I think Monovara is our members manager, and she can always be approached, but also Christine and Anne. I'm just here the facilitator. I'm just scheduling the calls. I'm just sitting here and listen, and I can learn a lot. I think Marco was also pretty much amazed, and I'm also very impressed from all the insights and perspective also the new joiners have shared today, because being the very first time in such a panel, you might maybe not have thought what to expect, and hopefully you like to join us next time. So I thank you very much to all of you. It was really amazing, inspiring. You made my day, and looking
Thank
forward
you.
to have you soon again.
Thank
Okay,
you, everybody.
Thank you
bye.
all. Bye.
Bye. Thank
Happy
you.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.